I wanted to express some of the things that I'd learnt, sitting with ladies, older women, and just all that amazing knowledge that I'd acquired. I wanted to do something with that. It's a lovely process from beginning to end, and I just fell in love with it. It's just been it's joy giving, but it's a real joy for me as well. I just can't help me just overflow with this sense that we're made to be creative. As I've learned more and more, and still am learning from the way that indigenous people see the world, there's this deep spiritual connection. They are just part of that. Everything is connected to everything, in a really beautiful way. When the wattle flowers, it means that the stingray are ready to go and hunt, and that, there's just this amazing network of connection, and that we're made to be part of that.
Well, hello friends. I haven't done a vlog like this for a while, and I'm a little bit excited. I have an interview which you would have heard a little bit about just before this, little snippets. I'm excited about doing a bit of a series, or extending the series from the past, on other people, on their creativity, on how creativity has really helped them in their life. So stories, we love stories, don't we? So I thought I'd do a little bit of this over the next few months, share with you some stories. Those of you that open my emails, sometimes it's about painting, but we're not all painters or want to do painting. There's all sorts of different creativity out there, of course, and I'm big on helping people find their creative voice. So today I am interviewing, there's only one of me right here. I'm interviewing Karen Fletcher, and her business is Warrawoo Prints. So you can look that up on Instagram, Warrawoo Prints. Amazing work. In fact, I'll just show you a little bit of her work now, if I can find my link. There it is. So there she is there with actually a really big piece that is in a light box, but her work is just beautiful. She started this many years ago as a little passion, and bit by bit started to develop over the years. Not doing it full time right now. She's been doing other things, but we'll hear more about that in a moment when we hear her story. It's very inspiring, and I'm really encouraged by her work. She's actually helped me do a little bit of play as well in some of the Lino Printing, and I've really enjoyed it. But let's listen to her story. Really love her enthusiasm and excitement to actually share her gift with other people, and help them as well. So hopefully this will be an encouragement to you as well. And as always, put some comments down below. Let me know how you found this, what other things you'd like me to do on YouTube. Press like, subscribe, and all those things that YouTubers always say. Thank you. Let's get on and listen to Karen. Well, hello. It's so good to see you, Karen. I have only just recently got to know you. Visited Darwin, some friends up there, and we sort of got to know each other through your work. Like, I went to the college that you work up in Darwin. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know where Darwin is, and you're not from Australia, so here's Australia. Oh, I'm down here. Karen's right up here. Cold. She's really hot. Temperature all the time. Temperature is it there today, Karen?
I woke up, it was 26, felt like 30.
Yeah, overnight it doesn't go to like 5 or 27 sometimes.
Yeah, not this time of year.
Yeah. No, here, well, the last few days 11, 12. Today we have 25, which is like, whoa. So anyway, but yeah, I met you up there, and you came to one of my little workshops. And then I sort of started to watch you on Instagram. We got to know each other on Instagram a bit, and I went and visited you, and I came to your little studio, which we'll talk about.
You did? Yeah.
Which are in there. Yeah. But why I'm doing these videos, why I'm doing these vlogs on YouTube, is because I want people to hear inspiring stories about creativity. And particularly people who've been in or still in, a different vocation, and they're using creativity to help with their mental health. We all, I like to be open about that. Mental health is an interesting subject. We don't often say, hey, I'm having a really hard mental health day, or whatever you want to say, I'm today. But it's a big thing, and especially in this day and age right now, having come through COVID, we've come through a really challenging time. A lot of businesses are finding it really hard. you know, and of course, what is really in front of us is, you know, war and, you know, just the challenge of finance and all sorts of things for different people. So I'm on a bit of a mission to help people discover creativity, you know, even those that, you know, don't feel like they're creative. Like, my mission is to convince people in a gentle way that you're creative and that there are ways to really help you through.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a bit more of your story. So no one or not many people on here will know you. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up and just, you know, a little brief history of to where you are now.
Okay.
Big story.
So I'm originally from Wollongong in New South Wales, which is about an hour south of Sydney. And it's a beautiful place with beautiful beaches and just, you know, beautiful climate. And so I lived there, oh gosh, for up until 2012. So I've got three boys, 2 grown up and married. One's still with us. And in 2012, we moved from our life in Wollongong, where I was working as a school teacher, and we moved to the Northern Territory, to Elcho Island, to a tiny little indigenous homeland school. So that was a bit of a grand adventure. My husband and I and our then 7-year-old son, so he's 19 now, and he's still with us here in Darwin. And we were there for nearly 5 years, and it was an amazing experience. We were just embraced and welcomed into the family space with all the people, Aboriginal community, so all the people that we lived with. We're still in strong contact with them. We regard each other as family, and it was an amazing place. But and we learnt so much from them. They're gracious and just beautiful people. So we loved our time there. And in 2017, we moved to Darwin, and we now work in an Indigenous college here in Darwin. So, and we've been here now since then. So we're into our 7th year in Darwin, and I think it must be, do the math, 11th, 12th, 11th year or something in the Northern Territory. So it's a long time in the heat.
Yeah. I pick up you don't like the heat that much, but
oh, no, I don't. No, I've got Scottish grandparents and English and Scottish, and I'm not built for it. But it's where we are, and so you have to just embrace it. And actually, people say you must be used to it by now. Well, yes, you are. I'm used to it, but it's still hard. You just learn how to cope, really.
Yeah. And we'll get on to a bit more of your creative stuff in a minute, but tell me about the transition between going from Wollongong, is that the name? Yeah, Wollongong, to the island. Like, what on earth? Well, how did that happen?
So the school system that we were part of was also connected to the school, which was on the island. So we just saw the job advertised and thought, oh, this is like a husband and wife kind of a setup. So Steve came along. He was the site manager, and I was the principal of this little school. And I guess we just packed up our lives, and every obstacle that could possibly have been in the way just seemed to just disappear. And so off we went. And we didn't really know, it was just a grand adventure, really, I think. And we just felt, well, you take everything in life, you know, that everything you've done and all the experiences you've had, it's all part of who you are. And so you take all that with you, and off we went to serve there. But you know, it was a small community, a very sort of family-based community, and so we had people around us to help us, you know, to settle in, to become accustomed to life there. And that was a massive shift. It was a shift in, you know, in climate. It was a shift in, you know, where we were living and access to everything, sort of to access to nothing. Yeah, and then the cultural space. So culture and language. You know, English is not anyone's first language, and so it was more akin to moving to, you know, an African community or a community a long way from where we'd left. It's just that when you hop off the plane, you're still actually in the same country. So it was an amazing experience, but being there as a family was actually the one constant, I guess. Yeah.
It fascinates me. And I mean, the reason I like asking these questions is because, you know, if you didn't move there, you know, all these different decisions and taking risk, I think is really important as creatives, as people, as humans, you know, to just not be, there's time to be safe. Of course, we need to feel safe, but I think it's exciting to go, let's try something. And there's a lot of unknowns, but, you know, we admire you for doing that. And I think encourage people to do that. So tell us a bit more about the, you know, so you moved to Darwin and you have a job there at the moment in working in another Indigenous college. But you have some creative things that you're doing. Tell us a bit about that transition. I'm curious, how did you start? So printmaking is sort of what you would call what you do, I suppose.
Yeah. And I had dabbled in some printmaking even back in my Wollongong days. So I worked in a technology and design sort of part of secondary schooling. And so I'd done some screen printing and a little bit of training in that. And that was something that I really enjoyed. And that idea of, you know, taking a design and putting it into a sort of a new medium. Prior to that, I mean, I'd grown up, you know, with a mum that we sewed a lot. There's always little sewing projects on the go, and my grandmother was also a sewer and a crochet person and embroidery and whatnot. And so I sort of came through that sort of part of my life with doing those sorts of things. When I had little babies, I knew that I needed to do something creative for myself. And I got into garden embroidery, and that became something that I loved doing. And it was that time alone, time just for me, time to take a breath when everyone was in bed and just kind of, do something for myself. So I knew that was a really important part of how I did life and how I could maintain a balance in that busy part of life. And I guess I did lots of different things when we were on Elko. I was living in this small community with another lovely person who is an artist, and she just brought life and exuberance to that place, and always trying new things. And so there's not much else to do, when you're not working.
Yeah.
And so, tried lots of new things, but it was really just in that last 6 months, I think probably, that we thought, well, we'll give lino printing a go. We haven't done that before. And we got some basic materials and had a bit of a go. And I thought, I actually really enjoy this process. And then it was time to leave. We had to pack up our whole life, and it all kind of got packed up into boxes and stayed there for a little while. And then I was settling in here in Darwin and thought I could feel that, innate need to do something, get into something creative again. And I sewed and made some quilts and things for my older boys, things I couldn't do when I was on Elko Island. And then I thought, actually, I'm going to get out those lino printing tools and have another go at that. And so it just grew from there. I just started dabbling. I started researching. I started looking up, sort of getting into the printmaking community on Instagram, which is huge, and encouraging, and a lovely space. And just started the adventure of what it looked like to go down that track. And I just found my groove. It was something that I just really enjoyed. And so off it went. Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about why, like, what's it do for you? As you know, like, I'm right into creativity and how it helps our mental health. So tell me a bit more about that for you.
I think I had a lot of processing to do, having sort of come out of that really intense time where life, living in a small community, was just a 24/7 environment. And we were the place where people came to for help, and lots of questions at the door, sort of constantly, lots of helping people. It didn't matter if it was Sunday morning or Tuesday night or whatever. So it was a very intense time, and I just needed to decompress and process some of those things. And there were some really hard times while we were there. So there was a lot of back work that I felt I needed to do. And the whole process of lino printing, starts with design. And I just found I loved I wanted to express some of the things that I'd learnt, sitting with ladies and older women, and just all that amazing knowledge that I'd acquired. I wanted to do something with that, and so I just started this process of, I need to draw something. Oh, I might draw something to do with bush medicines, or and so I started going down that track, and including even just little things, including the name of whatever it was that I'd created, but in language as I'd learnt it. It was just a part of me, I suppose, wanting to share that the joy in what I'd found with other people. So I love the design process, and then I just love the carving. It's just a beautiful, cathartic, and everyone that tries it, once they can relax and sort of relax the shoulders and chill out a little bit, it's just you just go into an amazing zone, and it's a beautiful process. It's probably the part I love the most, almost. And then that moment where you ink up what you've created and you see that very first impression of it, it's like that sort of wow moment. It still catches you every time. And then just sharing that with other people. It's just it's a lovely process from beginning to end. And I just fell in love with it, and I wanted to share it with others. And so, just one step at a time, slowly became that journey. Yeah.
It's a really healthy thing, I think, to be using your creativity to process, and not just block something off if it was really hard. I've had some really challenging stuff in the past, some burnout. To not just go, that was there, I'm just going to move on and do something new and fresh. I think it's really important to go, okay, what can I take from that was good and beautiful?
Yeah.
Replace those memories, all those challenges, with things that are rich. And I really love that you've done that. And I think you can feel that. Like, I've got some of your work here and your work. I bought one of these when I was away, but you can sort of feel it. I think when an artist does a piece that is embedded in pain or challenge and process, I really believe that people can actually experience that. When you chooses a piece at your stalls and stuff, I think unbeknownst to them, they'll be choosing something because it means something for them. It's very special.
Yeah.
So you're also going on to do some workshops now. You've started doing.
I am.
Tell us more about that and how it's been for you. I really want to hear.
Yeah, I think so. I've been doing markets now for 3 or 4 years, and that was just such a surprise. The very first time you set up a market stall and you're brave enough to have a go at doing that, and then people start actually talking to you and buying your stuff. That was a bit of a pivot point, I guess. And I thought, actually, people are interested in what I'm doing, and I'm just loving the opportunity to share that and share a little bit of the story and the journey and so on. And so I went down the path and doing, a number of markets per year. Not too many, it's too hot for me to be standing outside. Yeah, but I still do 3 or 4 art markets, makers markets a year. And I found over and over people were saying, do you teach this? I would just love to get back into. Actually, often is what people would say. I did this at school and I didn't like it, but I love what you're doing and I'd love to learn more. And so I didn't really go down that track, and I just got to the end of the year last year, and I had some time where the rest of the family went away on a father and son trip, and I just had this lovely time to just spend in that creative space and just contemplating life and where I was at and what was next. And I really thought, actually, what's next? Felt very strongly that getting into workshops was the next thing, and to open up that space. And look, I think by the end of the year, I probably will have run about 14 workshops, and every single time it's the same story. It's people saying, I used to do this, or I've never done this, or I don't do anything creative, and I've just thought I'd give this a go. I can't believe what this feels like. I want to do more of this. And it's just this, it's so not about me. It's just about, lighting that little flame for people of how it feels when you step back into a creative space. And it's just for 3 hours, a 3-hour workshop, and no one ever wants to go home. And it's a, it's just a lovely time. And the things people create, is absolutely first time at doing anything like this often. And it's just lights a little fire, and it's just so exciting to see that spark, beginning in people's lives. And I love hearing, about the follow-up and what have you done next, and share that with me. And so it's just it's just the first year really of doing that, and I've now concocting all sorts of plans about what might be next, because people want to continue on that journey. So it's been such a joy. It's just been it's joy giving, but it's a real joy for me as well. And I'm just loving it, trying to fit it all in.
It sounds like tricky. So at the moment, you're working, you probably don't want to say anything here because other work people are beyond, but you want to move more to doing this in the future, like more time. I think there's so many ideas, there's so many opportunities, and it's just that tricky tension of how much can I fit in, and it actually not be unhelpful or detrimental for me, because it becomes too much. And you start to, I don't want to lose the joy in that space, and still have time to, when's the last time I created something new, so it's a tricky tension. Or I'm traveling okay in that space at the moment, but it's always worth thinking and rethinking. But I love my work as well, my daytime paid work, which is not full-time, but I love that too. So it's a tricky balance, and it's just, I keep stepping back into that space and rethinking, usually about this time of year, as you're sort of thinking about the year that's coming. And I was reading through one of your, like you did sort of an article for some magazine or something, and you said, but as with most creators, once your small business starts to grow, there's a tricky tension between creating and selling. Who are you making the art for? Tell me more about that.
I think, you start popping things into exhibitions and taking up opportunities, and a funny thing happens in your mind where you're thinking, oh, you might have an idea about something to create, and then you start thinking, oh, but would anyone want to buy that? Would that sell? And it could be something that you actually really wanting to do. And I think you need to, I'm really conscious of on the one hand, thinking those things through, but at the same time not being bound by them. So thinking, actually, no, I really do want to do a lino cut of curlews, and I don't really mind if no one's interested in curlews, but I just want to do that because of, they're fascinating creature. So the bird's just behind you. Actually.
These birds, curlews.
The very odd looking ones with the lanky legs and cry in the night and so on. So, and then as it turned out, I did that lino carving, and it's now in a light box exhibition, and they're 6 feet tall. So it's been so you never know where things are going to go, but I think doing things because it's part of your process and something that you're really driven by is still really important. But it's a tricky tension, because you're also trying to derive an income at the same time, and so it's always it's always at play, I think.
Is a challenging balance. I'm just trying to think of people who are watching on, what questions they might want to ask you, and I suppose it's what would you say to people who are like, oh, I think I'm sort of a little bit creative in this area, and I don't like you're just saying, like, oh, does anyone want to see my stuff? I mean, it's fairly obvious, with your story, but is there anything more you want to say to people who are like, I'm not sure, I should do this?
Look, I think, well, firstly, just give it a go. You can invest in a very small way. Lino printing is not a big, expensive startup. Just get some basic things and try and connect, even if it's a digital connection. So, tools like Instagram are just gold, for connecting into really encouraging communities. You just start becoming part of that and encouraging others and having them encourage you. And it's a real non-judgmental kind of space, I've found. That is actually, it's digital and it's not real life, but it's, you get to know people, you get to know Australian artists, I guess, because I'm not really close to any capital cities here, but I've come to know artists in Adelaide and Melbourne and other parts around the places around the country, and I've not met them in person, but we engage and have interactions and encourage one another. So you just start small, grab some resources. There's some great books out there that are really useful and helpful, and have a go, and just get going. Jump in. Yeah.
Jump in. You don't have to move to an island to do it, but
No.
So I came to visit you, and you have a beautiful new space. Tell us a little bit about, you were working in, you always start somewhere on the kitchen table, probably, transition, and now
Yes.
Where are you?
I started on the kitchen table, you're right.
Yes, right.
And from the kitchen table, it moved to the spare bedroom, which I just had a desk space, and then I basically commandeered, and got a printing press, and then the next thing, and so that space became fairly full, quite full. And then we started thinking about do we renovate the house, which is a fairly overwhelming prospect. And then one day, this old caravan popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and actually Steve, my partner, saw it, and he said, how about this caravan? I said, we don't need a caravan, it's too hot for camping up here. And right. He said, no, for your studio. What about we set up a studio in a caravan? I said, are you serious? And he said, yeah, let's go have a look. So we did. We went and had a look, and we had to get it brought home on a truck. So we weren't sure that it was, get a hold together. It's a 1979 Millard caravan, and it was already being used. It had been, some reno had been already done on that. It was a family, they bought it for their daughter, who didn't want to move out of home, but wanted her own space, and so they'd started some renovations on it. And so we got it to our place and popped it. Luckily, we've got enough room here in our yard, so we were able to pop it down in a garden space where it's surrounded by trees and birds and lovely things. And then that process of renovating was really cathartic. We were in a very busy time at work, and we'd come home, just wanted to plop on the couch, but we have dinner and come down to the van and get going. And so we've done some basic renovations and painted the space and just created this lovely airy space, and it's like the TARDIS.
I've got a photo just so people can see. So, and obviously right now you are in, well, not obviously, but so there's the outside, and you've got it painted by a friend.
Yes. Yep.
This looks so homely and gorgeous.
Yeah. Look, and it's beautiful in the mornings with the morning light, and it's beautiful in the afternoons. I love that late afternoon light that comes in. And it's my space. I've just got, I don't have to pack up when I'm finished because it's a multi-purpose space or whatnot. And so I've just got all beautiful things around me, and it's collecting, works from other artists that I really love and admire, and putting them up around the place. And I can light candles and put on music and just, create a lovely creative space. It's a little haven. And I get to share it, with people like yourself, and you can come and sit and just enjoy the space as well. And it's something I just derive so much joy from, the sharing, the sharing with others, and just seeing them encouraged and just, finding their own place in that creative sort of space. Yeah. So yes, that's just been totally unexpected. It's not something I thought 2023 would bring us, a caravan.
Such a great little space. I really like one there. So it's so cool. Well, we're going to finish in a minute, but usually it's an awkward question to ask, but often, I've heard you talk about joy and blessing and, words that, bring life to you. And I'm always curious, especially how creativity, like we were talking before, when you do a piece from pain or challenge, you do it from the heart, and then someone else is inspired. I've had some incredible stories of people seeing work and something happening for them. And I believe there's some spiritual connection, to our creativity and the journey, So as we finish now, I suppose I'd love to hear just a tiny bit about your connection to your own spirituality, if that is a thing, or what does joy and all that mean for you? It's sort of a broad question, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all from different faith beliefs and different thoughts, but
Mm.
be open about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I guess I grew up in a family where, we'd go off to church, and that was just something that we did. And I guess, look, we really felt strongly that when we went on our journey to Elcho Island, that was really something that the doors were so clearly opened up for us, that we felt that was something that we were really being called to do. And being immersed in that extraordinary environment, we'd go out on the water. It was like you were in a nature park. It was just every kind of creature around you. It's just unfathomable. It was just an absolutely beautiful place. And I just can't help me just overflow with this sense that it's, that we're made to be creative, and that this has been created. There's a God who's created this amazing space, and that actually we're part of that. And as I've learned more and more, and still am learning from the way that Indigenous people see the world, there's this deep spiritual connection. They are just part of that. There's a connection into the creation that I'm still learning to have eyes to see, but it became a lot stronger for me in the time that I was there. Everything is connected to everything, in a really beautiful way. When the wattle flowers, it means that the stingray are ready to go and hunt, and that, there's just this amazing network of connection, and that we're actually part of that. We're made to be part of that. So I just love expressing that in the art that I do, and sharing that. I think, people are really interested in that layer, I guess, of how, to me, how when I look at the creation around me, which is why I love being here and in this space where I'm looking out, in the garden and the birds and so on. I just find such joy in that space, because I can just see a creator's hand in that space, and that's a real encouragement to me.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. Just by the way, I sort of wore my Indigenous what are they called, dilly bags?
Dilly bag earrings. I've not actually seen those. They're yes, very special.
Especially for you today. Thank you for sharing all that. It's
a pleasure.
Time to finish up our time, but I'm really grateful for what I've been dabbling in a little bit of lino printing, and I totally get the idea. It's just, that beautiful process. And it's been so lovely to hear your story, and how important it's been for you.
Yeah.
And your honesty, in how the challenges, but how you're using it. And I really want to encourage people to be inspired. Well, no, it's a funny thing to say. They will be inspired by your story. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see what comes, more of your workshops, and it's all so where do people find you if they want to look at your work?
My Instagram account or website, there's all sorts of bits and pieces up there, and you can just message me. I'm really happy to be sharing what I've known, or resources, or if people have questions and so on, just to help people get on their way.
I'll put it up here. What's your
so Wawaru Prints, which is hard to remember and hard to pronounce, but Wawaru is the name the old ladies gave me when we were living on Elcho Island. It's a tree that grows by the water, along the sand dunes, and it has little it's the Mimulsops tree, for those who are into plants. It has little red sweet fruit on it, and so that was my name. And I thought, this is part of my story and part of sharing this part of who I am, and what where I've come on my journey. And so that was the name I went with, and I knew all its challenges, and people say what I love it. I say Wawaru. Wawaru. And so that's where I am, and that's how you can find me. So
right, well, hopefully people will look you up, and if you're in Darwin, check out any of your workshops or things like that as well. And I love that Wawaru has fruit that's very sweet and which is what you are. You're a beautiful, sweet woman who I've really enjoyed getting to know, and continue to really enjoyed our connection and your encouragement to me as well. So thank you for sharing your time with us. And
my pleasure, Heather.
You go into your warm day.
It's already hot out there. So,
Sorry.
and I'm doing some cyanotype today, so I'll be in and out into the heat, but I need the sun for that process to work. So
Your vitamin D today.
yep, a little bit.
Well, thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, it's lovely to see you.
Bye.
Bye.